Hello, lads and ladies, and welcome back for another live stream on the channel. 10th of December, some more League One action. It's time to bite our teeth into English's third tier. Plenty of action happening across the third tier on Tuesday night. Gale force winds across the country may have affected the footballing a little bit, and it certainly affected Bradford, who were meant to play. So they were playing Port Vale until they weren't playing Port Vale. But they will have to play Port Vale eventually. So they will be playing Port Vale. To join me tonight is a man with a smile like a Cheshire cat, and he's a bit like a badger as he comes into molting season. A welcome to the fantastic Jakey Tong. Hang on, every week.
How are we, chap? Are we okay?
Yeah.
I like how we've both gone for the green. Are we celebrating the Plymouth Argyle win?
I'm in blue.
You're in blue. I'll be honest, it's a little bit like that dress. You know, the golden white dress and the black and blue dress. It's a little bit like that.
No, I don't know.
What we're doing is we're celebrating Plymouth Argyle's win, right? That's what we're doing. So,
yeah.
Congratulations. But yeah, I'm good. Surprisingly, I'm very good, mate, after yesterday. Very happy. Very good performance. Very good day yesterday. It was good, mate. It was, it's very different. It's very, very difficult not to be positive right now as a Lincoln City supporter. So, yes, I'm good. How are you? How was your evening against Salford? I have watched the vlog, so I know what the crack is. But you okay? We going all right?
Horrific.
Horrific.
It wasn't a night for football, was it? If I was a groundsman at Fleetwood Town, if I was the manager, I'd have gone on the pitch on Monday with a hose pipe and got that game called off. Because there's no way Jose were ever going to get anything other than a draw or defeat, in my opinion. Because
for Fleetwood, you've got to understand, mate. For Fleetwood, that's a great point against the Salford.
Oh, mate, hang on a minute. Let me finish. They played 130 minutes on Saturday, right? Against a decent League One outfit. It was 7th, right? Premier League 2 years ago, Championship players in that squad. They worked ever so hard. That was the most hard-working performance I've ever seen from a Fleetwood performance in 4 years, I'd like to say. They worked ever so hard, and they looked knackered. He had to ring changes. He made 5 outfield changes, and they looked knackered from it. So they got a great point, a point I didn't think we'd get. So delighted with it. Let's say hello to those in the chat. Just a few in tonight. Dave wants to know who you got in the next round of the FA Cup, Jake.
It's a tin pot competition.
Yeah.
By the way, we got to the quarterfinal of it as a non-league team, so I'm pretty sure that trumps the third round every single time.
I might have mentioned that with commentary a couple of times the other day as well.
Good man. This is why we're best friends.
Good
to see, by the way, nice to see Matty Virtue on the score sheet. Last time I was at
back home games in the league.
Last
assist the other day as well.
Last time I was at I nearly said Bloomfield Road, but that's not quite true. I could have pictured you at Bloomfield Road, but last time I was at Highbury Park, Matty was getting dogs abuse for being a Bloomfield Roader. But very nice to see him scoring goals, mate, because I love Matty Virtue, as you well know.
Absolutely. Hello, Sue. Good to see you in. If you could all give us a like on the stream, that'd be appreciated. Answer to the title, no. Can anyone stop Cardiff City? We shall.
Hold on a minute, Mr. Garrell. Hold on a minute. Just relax, mate. You've got some difficult games coming up.
So, we will get started now. So, if you could leave a like, keep your comments coming. They'll be appreciated tonight more than ever. Barnsley came to the Sinsel Bank yesterday. A poor run against the current top 6 continues for the Tykes. The away from home, quite alarming against everyone up from 13th. There's been 3 draws that have come against Bradford, that have come against Stockport County, and then Wycombe, and they lost again away at Wimbledon, and now Lincoln City. They're very, very good against the bottom half of sides. They've only lost to Port Vale and Blackpool from sides below 15th or below. Only Cardiff, Huddersfield and Leyton Orient have scored more goals than Barnsley, but the problem is it is that depth. Now, Saturday, Tuesday kicks in. What do you make of Barnsley yesterday? We will come to Lincoln. 3-1 defeat yesterday. Another bit of a bump in the road, but they've been okay. But it's those games in hand at the moment.
Yeah. Yesterday with Barnsley, you rip it up into two different parts, right? You have the midfield and the attackers, who I thought were all very bright, very good. Connell Phillips in midfield, I thought were outstanding. Young Bland got an assist. I thought he was really good on the right. Reyes Cleary as well. Me and Matt were having a bit of a laugh about him, but he looks a threat, and you can see why. I think he's been nominated for the Player of the Month, hasn't he, for November. He's a very good direct player, and not many players do have the beat in a Tendai Derek. But to be fair to him, he did last night in that first half. And obviously, when you've got a player like Davis Keeler-Dunn picking up in the pockets, they were very good going forward, very aesthetically pleasing. They created a couple of good half chances. There was one right at the end of the half where George does really well to save. They scored a really good goal. It's a really well-worked goal. And they were good in those areas where it didn't matter. Do you remember how we used to talk about, funnily enough, because he just put his comment up, remember when we used to talk about Leyton Orient getting into good areas and then not really doing a lot? That was a little bit like Barnsley yesterday. They got into some good areas yesterday, and it was the fine execution wasn't quite there. Younger Nathan put one wide. There was one at the keeper. A couple went over the bar. A couple went wide. Oh, there's a surprise. You're celebrating Blackpool being 2-0 up. What a shock. Of course, they were about to get in some form, weren't they, before Saturday? Of course they were. And then you look at the other half of it, where the defending for Barnsley is quite frankly shambolic. And we exploited that yesterday, absolutely. But you look at the defending men for that second goal, right? That's criminal. Conor Hourihane said it in his post-match. That defending was criminal. You just got back in the game. A game you probably... Conor Hourihane will say they deserve to be in it. I don't think that's true whatsoever. They got back in the game because of a decent goal. And then the way they defended after that, in that, I think it was like 6-minute spell between the two goals. I mean, you look at it, they're trying to play an offside trap like 5 yards off the halfway line, right? And then the second one, Dejavigné heads it. He basically got a 50p on his head, and he heads it backwards rather than forwards. And Sonny Bradley capitalises or whatever. So I thought Barnsley were very aesthetically pleasing. Probably going forward, the best team I think we've played this year. But going back, they defensively are just absolutely atrocious, woeful, and people are calling for Conor Hourihane's head. I don't think that's the right thing. I mean, I listened to Fowler's video about it earlier. Conor Hourihane's not making them mistakes. He's making them play this attractive, nice football. They need defenders, and Barnsley need to invest in January in some defenders, because they've got the goals at the top end of the pitch. But if you're conceding 4, 5, 6 really good opportunities the other way, you're not going to win any games. And Barnsley won't get in the playoffs playing that way.
No, agree with you. The issue is Barnsley have a very good squad of 15 players. They do. You even look at the players that have come in. Young and Nathan and Cleary were both in the National League last year. Young and Nathan had a very good spell in the National League. On loan at Oldham, got promoted. For me, probably could play top League 2 last year, really. But he went out to a decent football club, that I think are League 1, size. So big expectation there to go and get promoted and win that league. They end up winning promotion via, the playoff. So that'll do him good. But these are players now that are expected to compete at the top end. And I think the fans of Barnsley maybe expect a little bit too much from what they've done in the past. This squad's nowhere near what they've been at in League 1 level before. Think of the squad that did well under Duff and Stendhal. And the squad that did remarkably well, that were down and out at Christmas, then got on this unbelievable run that, for me, one of the best promotions I've ever seen from League 1 was that Barnsley squad where they ended up beating, I think, Millwall in the playoff final. They were immense that year. We liked Adam Hamill and co. Ashley Fletcher was in that squad, I think, as well. I think he scored in the playoff game in the semi-final in the first leg. Funny enough, talk about Barnsley fans. I was at work today. I've not told Jake this. I said I had something to tell him. And there was a Sheffield Wednesday fan, and I thought, oh, I didn't know how they got on. I knew they were 1-0 up. And he went, oh, they equalised it last minute, didn't they? And I was like, oh, I was gutted because I hope he can win a few games. Next guy comes up, his mate, and he goes, well, I'm a Barnsley fan, and we lost to Lincoln. We always lose to them. They're our bogey team. I don't like Lincoln. And he goes, they're not even that good either. And I was like, well, they're the best team in the league at home. They've won 7 out of 10. They're third in the division. They've won half the games. They've been very good. They've got some good young players. We play a good front four. And he goes, how do you know so much about Lincoln? Are you a Lincoln fan? And I went, yes. You could say that, and I walked off. So I was like, Sue and Jake would be so proud of me right now for what I've just done. I could just see
going, converted.
Going, finally. Oh, I've converted him. So no, going on to Lincoln, who we will have to give them their mat flowers for another excellent home display. They were front-footed. They asked questions. The disappointing thing for me at 1-0, Barnsley stuck in the game. Barnsley found a platform to stick in, and Lincoln just often allow a platform or two to allow teams back into games. Now, I had a chat with Sue the other day, and she said to me, so I went to go and have a look away from this. I don't think, I'm a big believer in games, every team will have a spell. Every team will have 15 minutes where they're on top. And I'm a big believer in every player in a team that plays games will have a moment in the season where they're excelling. So, like, for 5 games, Jake could be all he talks about is Tom Bayliss. And then 3 games later, he's all he mentions is Conor McGrandle. Then he's mentioning Paudie O'Connor, last season. Then, and then you're thinking, no, I actually said that thinking, I thought I've got to get myself out of the hole there. But every player will have a spell in the season. They'll have a purple patch and they'll go for a period where they don't go too well. I don't think Lincoln's forward players have quite hit the heights that I truly believe they can get to. I think they've been 7 out of 10s, which has been solid. It's been enough to get Lincoln third. When those top 4 get going, and Lincoln, I think, will start scoring more goals, because I still don't believe that Lincoln have been anywhere near their front ceiling best. If this is Lincoln at their best, if this is Lincoln at the best, Lincoln will get the playoffs, in my opinion. I think Lincoln, if they can still improve, but the third in the league. I still think that there's better front-footed performances to come. I mentioned about players and spells. Rico Hackett is having one. Now, Jake came out with this exact quote when he played Wycombe away. He didn't score. I don't think he scored this game, did he? But he came on and he just looked angry. He just looked frustrated. Basically saying, I've been left out of this team. And it wasn't tactics. That was just adrenaline of a rawness and a will to win. And he's been rewarded with a couple of goals in the last few games. I think he scored a couple of games.
He scored the winner as well.
He scored the winner. He's been absolutely outstanding. And Lincoln are going to need their attacking players to get them out of jail a couple of times. And they were excellent again yesterday. Rico Hackett with a double. And you even mentioned the likes of Jack Moylan getting a couple of assists, which is key. And everyone I always talk about Lincoln, and I had a chat with Adam Temple, Fleetwood's assistant manager, and I would say me and him were in the room for an hour and a half. I would say we recorded a podcast that was probably 40 minutes or so. We spoke about a lot of the EFL. We spoke about Lincoln for about 10 minutes out of everyone, not even in our league, and he was quite optimistic and he was quite excited about how Lincoln play with the front 4, the 4 striking. I know Dom Jeffries played yesterday, had a bit of defensive balance, but you've got players that can come in now. I don't feel that Lincoln have had this level of depth for a number of years, and it looks good. And all of a sudden now you hit yellow ball season, you hit winter ball season, and we were speaking off air about your poor record in December. It feels Lincoln now are starting to move in the right direction. And 4 goals for Rico Hackett, already matched last season's tally. Tom Bayliss getting another goal. An excellent performance. And you look through the home form, they're beating a bit of everyone. They've beaten Stevenage, they've beaten Luton, they've beaten Barnsley. The Barnes in the Luton game were both the similar games, but both kind of give me the same vibes of game. Was it the Luton game you also scored from kickoff, was it, Jake?
No, it was Doncaster.
Doncaster where you scored from kickoff. But it was full of energy, full of life, and a really good performance. Now all you need to do, it's difficult away from home in this league, is win a few away and back it up, because that home form, to win 70% of your home form, is it valuable? Are Lincoln going to go and win, say, 9 of the next 13? It'd be difficult. So I just want to see a little bit more from Lincoln on the road. But I'm very optimistic from Lincoln. I say character, enthusiasm, front-footed play. I thought they were excellent yesterday, Jake.
Yeah, and I genuinely thought 3-1 flat of Barnsley. It's how well we played, and we're not played that well at home.
Sorry, can I just interrupt? That man, for clarification, is the Lincoln fan.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
Yeah, I thought 3-1 flat of Barnsley a lot. We had some really good chat. Fred Draper misses a sitter. Moylan should score in the first half. We have a Murphy Cooper makes a couple of good saves as well. Yesterday was far better, far more like us, really high intensity. And I think in the week where we've just found out where we've lost Colo for the rest of the season, which is like, if you take James Collins away from any team in League One, they're going to be a lot weaker in that front area. Whether he actually plays for us again, I don't know, because of the age in which he is now and the injury. And to lose Ben House, who probably has been our best forward player so far this season. But yeah, I completely agree with you. I think we are yet to be at our best, and what we are is effective. We're so effective at what we do. We know our limitations, and we play to them really well. And it is exciting. It is really exciting, because, like you say, that it feels like we're at 70%, and it feels like we've got that next gear, and it feels like we have got that investment waiting to come in January if we're in those positions. What I would say is we've got a really tough next couple of games. Go to Blackpool on Saturday. They're already 2-0 up. They're going to be walking into that bouncing. Tough place to go, Bloomfield Road. I'm not having it the bottom of the league, bottom, whatever. It's a tough place. They've got some good. I was speaking to a
It's like Plymouth, isn't it?
Exactly.
I mean? Like...
They're going to be tough, and I'm fully expecting us probably to get beat at Blackpool, because that's normally what we do there. We get beat at Rotherham, even though they're rubbish as well. So, and then we've got the big one. We've got Cardiff before Christmas, then Stockport, then we've got Barnsley again, then we've got Huddersfield, and we've got Peterborough to round up that sort of period while I'm off work. And that's a really tough run. It's a really tough run. We're lucky that quite a few of those games are at home. I think 3 of them are at home. But yeah, no, that's and we'll see where we are in that first weekend of January. You know, by the time the third weekend comes around, if we're still where we are in the league now, I'll be mightily impressed, and I will start believing, because it's difficult not to. But yeah, you highlighted Rico Hackett like yesterday, sensational. Like, me and Flowers have always said him playing on the right is a stroke of genius basketball. There's nothing wrong with it. Really good finish for the first one, and then the second one's a tapping of a header. But I just think we're alert, and I think we're just switched on, and I think we're clever. And I think a lot of teams in this league aren't clever; they're quite stupid. I think a lot of them make really basic mistakes. I don't think you see Lincoln making the same mistakes as a lot of teams. I think that's why we're up there. Teams will say, "Oh, Lincoln weren't that good." You know, I wasn't that impressed with Lincoln. I'm not that fussed. I genuinely think this is the best Lincoln City team I've ever seen, and I've seen a Lincoln City team with Morgan Rogers and Brennan Johnson in a front three. Right, they were pretty decent.
Best team for the level that it's at, or
best team that
teams?
But best. This is the best
context, like, you know what I mean. At their
level, in terms of ability, this is the best Lincoln team that I've seen. That National League team were special, right? I'll talk about them to my grandkids when I get that old. So probably next year.
You anywhere near you to get grandkids?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a really good point. But yeah, I think this is the best. The depth, like coming on the bench yesterday, Eric Ring came on. Ivan Varfolomeu, who played well yesterday, he came on. Rob Street came off the bench yesterday. So Frankie Okoronkwo, a Bikwu. So we have got that depth. And I think when we click, when we go, you ask the question, can anyone stop Cardiff? I think Lincoln at their full best. Well, we'll see in a couple of weeks, won't we? I think we could have a go at Cardiff in a couple of weeks. We'll see. That might come back to bite me. Yes. Which I'd back us.
If Lincoln were to play at their front throttle best, I agree. If Lincoln were to go in and just let Cardiff, I think Lincoln's best players let them have the ball, stick in a good shape, and when you get it, move it so forward quickly and effectively, you'll be okay. Let's move on. Lincoln, excellent yesterday, deserved winners over Barnsley, as Conor Horahan will be hoping that his Tigers can get back to winning ways. Stevenage 0, Stockport 1. A bit of a bump in the road for Stevenage.
You sure?
Stevenage 0, Cardiff 1. Sorry.
There we go. There we go.
I do. It's because Stockport are next on the list. I do apologise. Stevenage 0, Cardiff 1. Now, Stevenage, their bit of a bump in the road continues. Now, I mentioned long-term success over 46 games. Now, Stevenage, for the first 10 games, were excellent. They sat top after that Luton game. They played very well that day. Win over your local rivals. You get your manager sacked. Happy days. I think they went to an international break after that. They were outstanding. Since then, it almost feels they've hit a bit of a lull. Now, that football that was a bit dross to start with, I'm not going to have it that they were playing pretty football. It's effective football, and I'd rather play it. They played under Evans. Once it starts not getting results, managers get questioned, and I think Ravel is starting to have a few questions asked of him. Now, if you're Stevenage fans, do you care how you play? No, they just want to win games. Football, I get that. 6 points from their last 6 games. They've won one of those. They've started a bit of a lull where those games they were winning, they're now either drawing or losing. Yes, they probably find themselves a little bit unfortunate they don't see the game out, but if they're playing a mid-table side, they probably go and draw 0-0. Cardiff just have that little bit of quality to go and win 1-0. We'll get to Cardiff in just a couple of minutes or so. But for Stevenage, it just feels a little bit like, I don't know. I think the fans yesterday, there's not entitlement because there's a lot of optimistic and, enthusiastic Stevenage fans that are very knowledgeable and understand where they're at. But they just seem to hit a bit of a lull. The only team they've beaten inside the top half is Leyton Orient and Luton. They've been very good against the teams below them, the Wycombe, the Rotherham, the Northampton. They beat Exeter, they beaten Peterborough, they've beaten Blackpool, they've beaten Portland. They've been very, very good against sides 12th and below, actually. They've actually won 8 of their 9 games from 12th or below. But against sides above them, Huddersfield, Cardiff, Lincoln. The good thing is they're not getting battered. They're only losing 1-0, but they're not really creating that much. They never shot on target yesterday. They've only lost 4 games. They've all been 1-0. So the Stevenage Football Club are in games of football. They're not getting hammered. It's not like they've lost their way completely. It's just that fine margin football has flipped a little bit.
Yeah, and I think you look at that team yesterday that played for Stevenage. There's no creativity in the air. There was no Harvey White. There was no Dan Kemp, and that's worrying. If they're not, those two are the prime creators in this team, and they're not. And when they're not available, they're not creating chances. And yesterday was quite alarming from a Stevenage point of view because, like you say, I've got no questions about this Stevenage. They're very much the opposite to Barnsley. No questions about Stevenage defensively. So many questions about Stevenage offensively. Like that I think they went over back 5 yesterday, didn't they? Of Wilding, Good, Piergiani, Freestone, and Saxon earlier. That's good. I think we got to a point. I think we got to a point earlier in the season, Ben, where they played about 5 home games or whatever, and they conceded 2 shots on target in those 5 home games, and that was it. That's ridiculous. They are very good at keeping clean sheets and keeping teams out. And if you go the 1-0 down away at Stevenage, you're probably not going to come back because they're just very good at sitting on these and being defensive and capitalising, etc. And you don't really see them win a lot of games 2, 3, 4. Do you know what I mean? You normally see Stevenage win by 1. I think that's because of the options going forward. I know Farley is a big fan of all their options that they've got, like the Bears. He's a big fan of Phoenix Patterson, Jovan Malcolm, Chem Campbell, etc. But I just don't feel like they've got, outside of Jamie Reid, I don't see anybody in this team scoring more than 8 goals. I don't see any of them scoring more than 8 goals.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Jamie Reid, I mean, he's not quite been. He's been decent this year, but he's not been 23, 24 Jamie Reid, who absolutely terrified.
He started off well, and he's kind of a bit of a lull, hasn't he? He's got a penalty against Peterborough. That's it.
And that sort of feels a little bit that, you know, it goes hand in hand with how Stevenage's season has been. Like, started off well, and then they're in a bit of a lull. I don't know what it is, what they need. I think they just need a bit of a refresh. I think they maybe need a bit of a different outlook as well, because they do play defensive football. They do play, at 0-0. They do often play for time, and they're trying to stay in games and then get to minute 70, and then they try and win it. When you're Stevenage,
they make it a scrap, don't they? Make it about themselves.
Yeah, and if you do, it is good. It absolutely, it's good. But like, I think what the fans will want to see, and if they're going to try and keep them, you've got to try and score earlier. You can't be waiting for the last 20 minutes to have a go at teams. You've got to go and, certainly if you're at home, you've got to go and try and score the first goal. You've got to try and score early, and then sit back, and then you can hit them on the counter, and that's when you win by 2 or 3. But they're. I remember Farley said it to us after we beat them in October. He wants to play for 70 minutes and then go all out for 20 minutes and try and win the game. That's not going to work, right? Stevenage are a good side. They don't belong in the bottom half. They've beaten nearly every team that they've played in the bottom half. But they, in my opinion, and I know Farley will disagree, I don't think they're a top 6 team at all. I think the table is, I think they're in a false position. The good side, but I think they're solid without being. I think they need to add that ruthless streak. They need to create more chances. Without it, I think Stevenage will be dropping down the table relatively soon.
I agree with that, and I think the fans I follow on Twitter seem to be the mention of style of football. And yesterday there was less than 3,000 home fans, which got labelled as. Just remember, a few years ago they probably weren't even getting 2,000. Some games it might have been attended that, but they weren't getting anywhere near that. They were struggling for numbers, weren't they? They've come an awful long way. And I get that they just want to be there and it's exciting. But eventually, there'll be a time where that's no longer good enough, where winning 1 in 3, 1 in 4, and the battle, you want to see a bit more from your side. I think Lincoln, the 2 or 3 years, if Lincoln in League One, they didn't really care what they did. As long as they won games of football and they stayed where they were, they had the good flash in the pan of winning away at a big boy, they'd be happy. But at the end of the day, sometimes after you get a bit bored. I think Stevenage fans have become a little bit bored because it's their 3rd year now in here. They did very well in season 1. Last year, I think they finished 15th. Didn't do too well. It was boring. And this year, they've still not scored a lot. They've not conceded a lot, but they've won a few. If Stevenage were to finish 11th this year, like they did a few years ago, they finished 10th or 9th, 10th, 11th, around there. Yeah, and it was seen as a disappointing season. That's an incredible season for Stevenage. If you ask Stevenage fans at the start of that year, finish 9th, they'd be, oh my God. And
that's just Farley.
Yeah, 80% of them are fine. And we'll admit that. And a realist. Some think they can probably go and win every game, which they can't. They don't have the squad for. And I agree, you can't about goals. You get Barnsley, they've got a goal scorer. They've got a couple of goal scorers. Lincoln, I think Lincoln have got 5 players that I can see scoring 10 or more. They've got 50 goals in 5 players, in my opinion, minimum, right? You could even push 60. You look at Cardiff, Huddersfield. These are teams that Stevenage are trying to compete with in the top 6. They are streets ahead. If Stevenage were to finish 10th this year and lost the way a little bit, I think Revell would be deemed, the football's this and that. All on the football be questioned. But finishing 10th is a good finish for them, in my opinion. So, Stevenage fans, let us know down below what you're thinking. Cardiff, what I like about Cardiff, they often find a way. They almost always find a way, Cardiff City. Now, if you go through their wins this season, Cardiff, now, I came on here and probably disrespected their win away at Wimbledon that said they didn't deserve it. What I meant by that is the 93rd minute, You win a game in the last minute, but that's what champions do. Now, this year, Cardiff, away from home, have won 4 games by 0. They've gone to Stevenage and won 1-0. They've gone to Luton and won 1-0. That Luton game, I think, showed you everything you need to know, because how they won that game, Nathan Trott got them those 3 points. Wimbledon, he scored late on. They went away. Northampton won 3-1. They were excellent, for a good number of times. Wigan won 2-0. They were effectively getting the job done. Then at home, they beat Huddersfield on Saturday, which I thought was their biggest statement so far this season. A thrilling 5-goal thriller. Not many games on in League One. So I think that win went under the radar a little bit, because it wasn't in a full game week. Everyone was focusing on the FA Cup, or you weren't bothered because you weren't playing football. And that wasn't even a dig at you, mate. But I thought that win went under the radar because no one was really talking about League One or League Two on Saturday. So that's the good thing for Cardiff. They've gone under the radar a little bit. Leyton Orient 4-3. Look, they conceded back the chances against them and Reading, but they won games of football in thrilling style. Plymouth at home, they won 4-0. Peterborough at home early in the season, they go 1-0 down, they find a way to win 2-1. They beat Mansfield comfortably at home, and they find a way to beat Reading, like we've just said. There's been bumps in the road. Their bumps in the road have come to Stockport and Bolton and Bradford, who are all in the top 6, that we've all agreed that Cardiff's record as a top 6 needs to improve. And then Blackpool and Port Vale, they've not beaten the bottom 2. But in and around 22nd to 6th, they've only lost 1, that's Burton. And they've won most of those. So it's starting to become, really good for Cardiff. They feel to me that they're starting to look a real good side. They won 4 on the bounce now. This was the time I was worried about them. Winter ball season, would they get wrecked? It seems not. Every time they've kind of come under any sort of pressure, they've won and found a way. Were they great yesterday? No, they weren't. They had 2 shots on target. But one thing I like about it, that young group that have got experience in it, the way they play football, to go at Stevenage, totally different, that are anti-football, that will make it a scrap and make it about them and play by their rules and be welcome to we'll try and be direct and get on you and tussle and waste time and get in your face and frustrate you. Cardiff kept the composure, stuck in the game, and a little bit of quality by Callum Robinson in the end to find the winner and win 1-0 to see it out. Showed you what I think that group was part of and what it was about. So a good win for the Bluebirds yesterday. I would go as far as say that those last 2 wins are the biggest of the season so far. It gives them a 4-point buffer on Bradford, who have stuttered recently. This team have won 66% of their games. They scored 32 goals. Can anyone stop Cardiff, do you think, at this point, Jake?
Difficult. Because, they, like you say, they're playing with confidence, aren't they? And I think yesterday, while they were at their best, it's a sign of a good team, isn't it? To not play well and still eke a result out. I was ironically going to say that's probably their best win of the season in terms of what the statement it sends out to the rest of the league, because no one would at Stevenage so far. Everyone had gone to Stevenage and walked away with a point or nothing. So that's massive. Not only was it a game against a fellow top 6 team, which we say that they haven't been the best at, that's another tick in the box for me. And they weren't brilliant, they weren't sexy, they weren't fantastic, but they bring up look at the lads that they're bringing on, right? They're bringing on Callum Robinson, Amari Kellerman, Davis, David Turnbull. These are players that are achieve so much more. Like Callum Robinson was playing in the Premier League like not that long ago. They've got Kellerman, who was Chelsea bought for 20 million quid from Derby, or it was Villa. He definitely played for Derby. Turnbull was at Celtic, and I know he's maybe not had the best start to life at Cardiff, but these are good players, and you're already adding to the likes of Colwell, who's having a great season, Perry and G, who's stepping up for Cardiff yet again, Yusuf Salet, who great pick on Fantasy EFL this week. Yeah, thank you very much, Yusuf, who's dominating the line. He's dominating the top line.
He deserves humongous credit, doesn't he? Because he didn't quite do enough last season, did he?
I think he did enough. I think he definitely did enough.
But I mean, it's tough to come in, right? And now, probably the most pressure, in my opinion, this year, I look at 3 players leading the line. I think there's 2 of them play for the same football club, right? That Joe Taylor and Alfie May, both at Huddersfield, and Salek at Cardiff, because into this league, I'll be honest with you, unknown quality to me. He's proved me wrong. And he's well on course to go get 20 goals, and
Oh,
he
he's
feels
got-
like he's a big focal point.
Well, he scored. I think he scored 10 goals in the back half of last year in the Championship. 10 or 11 goals in the Championship.
It's good goals return, isn't it?
It's a great goal return, and what he is, and what I think allows him to be so successful in England is he's so physical. Like he completely bullied Piergiani and Charlie Good yesterday. Like, how many centre forwards can wrap those two centre halves around both of them at the same time in one performance? Not many. Yusuf Selek is, and I will say this, is the best striker in the league by far. He's too good to play at this level, and like you say, he has the hardest job. Yeah.
I think he's better. You know, so one thing I will say, I think that obviously Alpha may have scored more goals over the years at this level because he's been in it more longer. And I think pedigree-wise, most people would go for Alpha May for what he's done at this level. However,
this guy,
Cardiff, where they want to go to, I think Selek's ceiling is here. Alpha May's ceiling is here.
Yeah, Alfie May, as soon as he gets to the Championship.
Well for Birmingham, but if he's putting Oxford's team, how many goals does Alfie May score?
The difference is, Ben, when Huddersfield get to the Championship, Huddersfield will discard Alfie May. When Cardiff get to the Championship, they will build their team around Yusuf Selek because he's good enough to play in that league, and he's already proved it. And coming off a 20-25 goal season in League One, that bloke's going to be confident next year. And Cardiff, when they are in the Championship, are going to have either a really big asset who they can sell on for millions of pounds and make the club a lot of money, or they're going to have a centre forward that gives them a chance. Because as we know, in a relegation battle, you look at your other teams, how many of them have got goal scorers? You know, not down the bottom, how many of those teams have got regular goal scorers like who Selek would be in a Championship? Not many. He could keep them up and restart the rebuild back into the maybe even to the Premier League. Who knows what the ceiling is for this Cardiff team? But they weren't great yesterday, Ben. But this is their biggest win of the season.
Yeah, the last two have been, I think, equally as big, in my opinion. But yesterday, polar opposite sides. The best thing that happened to Cardiff, I said it about Birmingham getting relegated. It gives you a chance to reset, go to different ground, just refresh things, because the Championship can become a slugfest. It can become a little bit of a slog, you know. And when you're in a league for so long, it can, and you just want a bit of excitement of, oh, okay, you're pushing at a different level of the table. So, you know, it's great to see, and I think we've made a few friends with Cardiff now. Is it Brockle? Yeah, a Bockle in the chat.
Bo Carroll, mate. His name's Bo. Bo Carroll.
What is it? I haven't got my readers on. My light's very bright, so I do apologise. Doncaster 0, Stockport 2, Jay. We'll move on from the Cardiff City loving. Doncaster in their last 12 games, they've only picked up 6 points. Now, from a possible 36. Now, they start like an house on fire. They were winning games of football, and I've mentioned so many times, I felt they were scoring with every shot on target. They played very well against Bradford, against Mansfield, Port Vale, Exeter, and there was another one in there where I just felt they were winning with every shot on target they had. Exeter was an 88th-minute penalty that Luke Molyneux scored. 2 late goals from Bailey away at Mansfield. I think he scored away at Port Vale as well. But they are 3 sides you'd expect Doncaster to beat. And expectations rose because the momentum was there and they were getting some good results. Don't get me wrong, and they were playing some good football. And then I think they just hit a bit of the reality of the day-to-day, the slugfest. It's a tough league, and they got relegated from it for a reason. And Doncaster, if they finish 19th, I think would deem it as a successful season at the start. That's where they are now. They're just struggling a little bit. They are very good, and like I said, against the size you'd expect Doncaster to be competing with at the start. Now, they've beaten Rotherham at home, Exeter at home, and Peterborough at home. They're 3 sides that Peterborough, obviously, you'd think would be a bit above them. But when you get into it and playing them a couple of weeks, you'd expect them to win at home. They beat Mansfield. They got a point away at Reading, and they won away at Port Vale. Now, their limitations come, a good point at home to Wycombe. Their limitations come against the next category of teams that are sitting between 12th and 7th. They've lost all of them to Leyton Orient, Wigan, Barnsley, Wimbledon, Huddersfield, and Luton. They drew away at Stevenage, which was a fantastic one. Then they lost to Stockport, Lincoln, beat Bradford at the start of the season. So I do think Doncaster will be that like Northampton team. Now, Northampton over the last 2 years, what Northampton been so effective of is, are Northampton the most glamorous? No, they weren't, but they'd often beat the side that you'd expect. In their minds, of you ask them, start of the year, you want to stay up, who are the clubs you're going to finish above? And they'd list 8 clubs, for example, they'd go and get 7 wins and a draw, or 6 wins and a draw, and you beat them. You got to beat them if you beat them at home, you get a point away, you're stopping them getting points at home, and you are winning your home games. That's what Doncaster need to do. Their season won't be defined on games like last night. It was 2 moments of absolute quality, I must say. The first goal from, I think, was it Ben Osborne who got that first goal, was fantastic. And Kyle Watton, again, a delivery just coming into the box from Jack Diamond. It's so good to see Jack Diamond get his career back on track, because we saw him at this level a few years ago, and he made the Mem his playground. And no, come on, he's suffering. Is the lad? I'm going to give him a night off, but several other teams have made it their playground over the years. But that was the start of it. He was fantastic, and he feels like he's starting to shine like a diamond, isn't he? That was a big win. That's a big win for Stockport, that, because everyone was starting to forget about them. They only got 1 point from the last 3, but they're only 2 points now offside the top 2. How did you see this one, Jay? Doncaster 0, Stockport County 2.
Yeah, so it is. It's a good win for them, like you say. And without Norwood and Bate in midfield, it probably looks even better. And we've spoken about how Stockport haven't been anywhere near at their glamouring best, and they're still only 6 points off the top of the table. But like you say, 2 points outside that top 2 bracket. I thought yesterday there was a decision that went for them. The Alowu challenge, who I had to speak to. I spoke to a Doncaster fan earlier in the season. And it's not a guy called Ben, because I know we'll think it's him. But it's this Donny fan said, Alowu going from Stockport to going from Doncaster on a free to Stockport is a sideways step. Well, what a silly tweet that was. Like, I don't know. He should have been sent off last night. It was a bad tackle, and I think that would maybe change the complexion of the game. But still, for Stockport to go there, I mean, they've got quality in that team, haven't you? Look at the players that played yesterday. Ben Osborne, he's been really good. Ricardo Gardner's lad is now getting games at right wing back. Odin Bailey, I think, has stepped up admirably in midfield. I think he's been quite a driving force. But like you say, and rightly point out, it is all about Jack Diamond with this Stockport team. Somebody had to carry the mantle of Ollie Norwood, didn't they? Whilst he's been off. And I feel like Jack Diamond's done that really well. And like you say, nobody is more pleased than I am for Jack Diamond after what he went through, all those allegations. He had to step down. He went to Carlisle. He got a relegation on his CV. But Stockport know talent when they see it. And it picked him up, and he's done really well. He's a really good direct, and he fits in with exactly what they want to do. Good age profile. And I think he's a really good option for them. And yesterday, that assist, that crossing for Carl Watton to head home, who I think that's Carl Watton's 47th goal in a Stockport County shirt. He's a top player. He's a top centre forward at this level.
7th goal of the season as well.
He's a really, really useful player. I don't think there was maybe Salic, right, when we talk about strikers that are good at this particular facet of the game. In terms of dominating aerial duels, I'm not sure. I'd like to see Salic and Wotton go at it, but I think Wotton, in terms of aerial duels and winning them and scoring headers and things, is the best at that in the league in terms of being a centre forward. But yeah, massive win for them. Doncaster
giving out your awards tonight, aren't you, son?
I know. I'm trying to make as many friends as I can. That's
you need them, mate. You need them.
Yeah. Well,
all I'm saying, right? If you carry on this winning malarkey, right, and you can pack that little bit of the S word in, right? You can pack it in now. Oh. So, I'll do a swap. I'll get 4-0 written all over it back on.
Yeah, your shows will do far better if you got 4-0 on than.
You know something, mate? He's a nice lad. He'll go a long way. He's a great lad. Still a friend. But I only want you, mate. Yeah, I wouldn't swap you for anyone.
Well, I'd swap this
unless any celebrities want to come on this show.
Yeah. Well, just to let you know, if Championship Live does come calling, then I will be turning it down and going absolutely nowhere because I love League One. I love it.
Give me back here the year later, man.
Yeah, exactly. So I might as well stay warm.
You shut up on your show and you come back going, please, mate, I made a huge
Tail
mistake.
between my legs.
Yeah.
I'm not enjoying getting beat 8-0 by Leicester. It's not fun. I thought it was going to be great, but it's not. It's rubbish.
You know what I'd be so annoyed about, right? If Tom stayed up, Wardy stayed up, you three made a podcast. I'd be absolutely
that championship podcast.
all right. Thanks, guys.
With what you say about Doncaster, I completely agree with. They're that team that I think at the minute they maybe feel like they're on a little bit of a slippery slide back down towards the bottom four, but I think they do have that individual quality, like you say, through Owen Bailey. I think Luke Molyneux has got enough quality to keep them above the water compared to other teams down in the bottom reaches of the table. So, yeah, good win for Stockport. Doncaster Rovers, work to be done, I feel.
Yeah. If we can get some points, that'd be great. Some comments, correct, Jay? Tell you what.
Look at this.
Yeah.
A bit of research goes a long way, doesn't it?
Facts about Cardiff. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And if you are new to the channel, please give us a like, subscribe. That would go a long, long way, guys. As we move on to our next game, we have 3 games in it with 46 minutes. As Wycombe 0, Plymouth 1. Plymouth find a way to win a game of football at the club where it all turned a little bit toxic at just about a month or so ago in the FA Cup. They are 4th in League One since Michael Duff came in, since on the 18th of September. 19 points across those 11 games. Would only put them 2 points off Cardiff, who got 21 in that time. And they've been immense at home. They've won 5 of their 10 games. However, they've only won 1 in their 9 away games in that time, which obviously isn't great. Obviously, this season, they've only won 1 away from home. That came at Wigan. Plenty of draws. The defeats mainly come at decent sides away from home for Wycombe. I'm talking Bradford, Stevenage. They lost to Wimbledon as well, which is a tough game, and they lost away at Peterborough. But for I lost my track then. But for Plymouth, that was a big win on a night where Blackpool are winning today. Exeter won, Peterborough won. Port Vale didn't play their game. Northampton
Can you address them properly, please? So we play Port Vale.
So
they're not called Port Vale. They're called.
I like the way we've got them in the FA Cup. I put it in the virtue. I'm just saying it's another League One opponent.
I was on FaceTime to Commons as we were doing the draw, and they went Port Vale, and Commons would back me up, and I went, we'll play Fleetwood Town, and they drew you, and I went, come on, nappers, we're going to Vale Park. I'll come with you, mate. I'll be with you.
Oh, mate, you're very welcome. Come, make sure you come. That's yeah. A big win for Plymouth Argyle. Now they've had plenty of red. The optimistic thing is for Plymouth is they pull a result out of nowhere. Now, the mesmerising stat for them is they won 4 of their 6 games back to 0. They beat Port Vale recently by 1-0. They've beaten Wycombe 1-0. They won away at Bolton 4-0. They beat Stockport 4-0. They're a flash in the pan. There are good signs there for Argyle. It was a big win, massive statement. They had to win because, like I said, Port Vale didn't play. Blackpool are now winning. Peterborough won. Exeter won. It just brings those above them. And it's so tight down there. That's 2 wins in 4 for Plymouth Argyle. If you want 6 points across the last 4, they need to continue it. Rotherham at home, Doncaster away before Christmas. If they can take 4 points from that, or even get 6 out of the next 3, or 7 out of the next 4, and try and get them to move in the right direction, it won't be too bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. But last night it was an atrocious game of football. Like the conditions were very difficult for both teams. It was evident on the highlights that I watched when I got back in from work. I thought Plymouth struggled in the first half. I thought Wycombe had them penned in quite well, and they were sustaining attacks quite heavily. But it's just that it's a mistake, isn't it? The Plymouth goal comes from a mistake from Will Norris. Couldn't happen to a better bloke, to be honest. Love the fact that he's messed up. But yeah, Aseni, who I think has had quite a bit of criticism because, I think they paid money for him. He cost about 60 grand from St Mirren, and he's not found the net regularly. But he's a young lad, and I think he took his opportunity really well yesterday. He capitalised on the mistake. He started the game. He couldn't have done much more as a starting centre forward. He's put the ball in the back of the net, and they've won 1-0 away from home. They had to hold them. They did, and Plymouth this year have been pretty poor when they have to hold on to leads. But I think getting some players back on the pitch that you consider first team was like Amechi. He was a good player when I watched him against us I think it was in September or August. I can't remember. I think it was August. He's a good player. Having him back available now will be much beneficial for them. Barley Mumba, you'd imagine, when he gets going, is a very good player on this level. We saw it in 22, 23. Like, that guy was an absolute animal that season. So, I think it's a really good win for them. It's important. I think these 1-0 wins away from home, and I think you've said you're a big advocate for this. They just bring groups together. Like they just like Plymouth this week will go into training absolutely buzzing because Ben, the best scoreline to win away from home is 1-0, right?
100%.
It's the one I put. You can win 4 or 5-0, do it at a canter.
3-0 at home, 1-0 away.
Correct.
My favourite scorelines.
Yeah,
3-0. So about 3-0 at home.
There is something about 3-0 at home, but 1-0 away from home is equally as interesting. Certainly, if your goal is scored in an offside position. But Aseni, to be fair to him, he's done really well, and it's a lovely finish. And that will be a big game. That's a big moment for Plymouth. Wycombe, like you say, I think they were playing really well, weren't they? And then, ironically, I think it's since the second half of when we got on top of them and they were quite poor. They've not played brilliant since then. I think that you look at the results and they've not quite matched what they were before.
Yeah.
And I think it was always to be expected. Like, Michael Duff isn't going to come in and just win every game, is he? With Wycombe Wanderers, like the team that they've got, it was pretty unrealistic. The run was good, and it's probably exceeding expectation. So I think for Wycombe long term, this little bump in the road, it will be quite a good thing for them. What?
You're taking on my catchphrase that I need to Pete Wild.
Little bump in the road for them.
That's what you know what I mean. You start saying next, you'll be going moving in the right direction, and then you'll be going. What's another one that you like? Oh, every team will have their spell.
That's what you said. That
I love him.
But yeah, good win for Argyle, much needed, and they'll be hoping this is a turning point for them. That's for sure.
Absolutely, it needs to be. It needs because football club that big can't be suffering down here for long. If you could keep liking, 50 in the chat now, subscribe down below. We're trying so hard to gain the subscribers that we're just trying to get to 18,500 subscribers. We've been so close for so long, and we're just not quite getting there. So if you could help us out, subscribe, it would mean a lot. It's free to do so, so make sure you go down there, press subscribe, and it would help me out a lot as we move on to Reading 1, Peterborough 2. Big win this for Peterborough United, who have started to win a few games of football that they weren't quite doing. The record away from them against sides in the bottom areas is quite good. They're beating Reading, they're beating Bolton, they're beating Plymouth. The record against sides that are decent, Wycombe, Wimbledon, and Stockport at home, have come from the wins. Jimmy J. Morgan, with his 4th goal of the season, joint with Harry Leonard. They're both getting, goal scorers on the pitch now. Lisby again getting an assist yesterday. Big win for Peterborough away at Liam Richardson's, revamped Reading, who they've not even been that bad. That is Reading's first defeat to a side lower than 10th than them. They're beating Leyton Orient, they're beating Northampton, they're beating Port Vale. They've beaten Blackpool, but they've now lost to Peterborough, obviously, but they've been drawing against Doncaster, Exeter, Mansfield, Rotherham and Wycombe. They've not been too bad against the sides above them in the top echelons of the table. The Barnsleys, the Wimbledons, the Huddersfields, the Lincolns and the Cardifff. That's where Reading have come unstuck this year. Big win for Peterborough, that. They just seem now to ugly games of football that they may find margin football, either draw 1-1 or lose 2-1 under Fergie. They're finding a way. 19 points now. They've won 3 of their last 5. They've lost 11, which was an issue because they've lost 2 in a row. But that bottom 3 of Blackpool, Plymouth and Peterborough starting to look very, very tussled. Now, Exeter, Doncaster, Burton, Reading, Mansfield.
There's going to be some teams looking over their shoulder very
Yeah,
nervous.
you think Rotherham now, if they lose tonight to Blackpool and Blackpool see it out, they're only 5 points above after being on this really 10-game unbeaten run. Northampton feels like they're miles away, but they're only 5 points off.
Yeah,
it's very, very close down there.
Well, bear in mind, Northampton play Peterborough. Northampton play Peterborough at the weekend, so Peterborough could be 2 points behind Northampton.
And the gap was 7 come the weekend. Said everything. But teams normally when we were in League One, it almost when Fleetwood won.
Oh, here we go.
No. When Fleetwood won, everyone around you won, and it was like you couldn't get out of breathing. It almost feels like they come in Spain. Like if you go through there's often they come in a big week. I've never seen anything like it midweek. Those conditions, I think, suited the not so good sides because they could scrap and fight and just tussle it out and find a way to win 5 margin football. It wasn't a great quality week, was it?
No, it wasn't. But this is a great quality win for Peterborough, and having those 2 players in particular on the score sheet will be a massive plus to Luke Williams and Peterborough United, because Jimmy J. Morgan is someone that I think has come in and made a really good impact, and Harry Leonard they spent a lot of money on. So to have him impacting games now, I think he scored the other week against Doncaster away from home, didn't he, in that defeat? But to have him score a winning goal, like I say, for the fee they paid for, and they'll be finally happy that he's starting to start paying that back. But I thought they were good yesterday, Peter, but they had to soak it up against a Reading team that came into this absolutely boisterous after a battering Blackpool at Bloomfield Road. God, that's a bit of a tongue twister. They've got some good players in there, Reading, Kiawara, Abachaman, Savage, Wing, Pawdy, obviously. Randall Williams got on the score sheet last weekend, Kamari Doyle, etc. And to go there and to play pretty well. I mean, they got themselves in front really early. I think that sort of played into their hands a little bit. Reading got themselves level, but almost straight away, not quite Tom Bayliss against Barnsley, but 8 minutes it took them to get back in front. And it's a big win because they won 4 in a row when Luke Williams came in all comps. They then went and lost 4 in a row. I think they had a poor. Obviously, they lost to Barnsley in the cup. They lost to Swindon, didn't they, the Tuesday night before in the Virtue Trophy. So they'll have been disappointed, Peterborough United. But this is definitely a step in the right direction. And I think there's no surprise when you've got your players like Leonard and Morgan playing back. Declan Frith is now getting a good opportunity. Lisby, I think, has been one of their better signings. Ben Woods has impressed me at the base of midfield as well. And they do have good players to bring on. I like Gustav Lingen. I think he makes some good runs. Matty Garbett, I think, is a top player who's going to be playing against, like Belgium, and could be playing against Kevin De Bruyne in the World Cup in a couple of months. But the poor bloke got pocketed by Conor McGrandle, so he might not be able to show up. But still, they got some good players, Peterborough, and I think when they get going, they've got a chance. This Peterborough team have a chance, and like we said, if they beat Northampton at the weekend, Peterborough United will be looking at Northampton Town at home on Saturday. Winnable game. They'll be 2 points behind them. And, I think it's mad that Peterborough have had the start that they've had, Ben, right? Yeah. And they're only, in fairness, they're only 12 points away from Stevenage, who've had an unbelievable start of the season.
I think as well, it says everything as well. And they lost to Stevenage a few weeks ago. They won that 6 points, and that's the difference. By margin, isn't it? And it was a penalty that won it. I think that the one thing that stands out with Peterborough is they win games. And that'll sound ludicrous for me to say. And you go, oh, that's what they're meant to do. But they win, like, they've won 2-1, 1-0, 1-0, 2-1, 5-0, 3. So those 4 games that they won by 1 goal, if they draw those games, they are 8 points. They are in 11. They've won them. They're on 19. They have been losing games in football 5 margin to Barnsley 1-0 at home, 3-2 away at Huddersfield, 2-1 away at Bolton, 2-1 away at Cardiff, where they went in front, 2-1 away at Doncaster, 2-1, at home to Blackpool. So it worked both ways. That Blackpool game, I think, was a win, a defeat, but a win at the same time because it meant they could just change things up, and they probably wouldn't have won the games after that. So it works both ways. If you can look, over the course of 8 games, and they're both decided by 1 goal, you could say, oh, let's just draw, and that's 8 points. But you can win 4, and you get 12 points, an extra 4 points. It's just little things. People have only drawn one game. 1 point keeps you in it. 3 points changes things, and that's what people do so well. Talking of doing so well, Exeter Football Club, when I don't think there is a football club in League One that when they need something, they come up trumps. Now, when they needed a victory, when they needed a cup draw, they got Man City away. And can I just say, I'm absolutely delighted for Gary Caldwell, the football club, the supporters, that they all deserve that. And I hope they get 6,000, 7,000 supporters that get to go down to Manchester. You're a fantastic football club, and to be in League One on the budget that they're on, the way their football club is run is absolutely remarkable. But they needed a win. And Exeter are a football club that when they need something, they just find a way. Now, in the last 6 games, they've not been that bad. They've got 7 points. And they're often like that, Exeter. They have lost 10 games, which is the same amount as Blackpool, the same amount as Port Vale, who are bottom of the league. But Exeter win a game. They've won double the amount of games of Port Vale, and they've drawn less. Those 3 games left, they just won. And they win fine margin football. Yesterday, not a lot in it. Niskanen goes down the right-hand side, puts a ball in, and again, it's just finished. And with 10 minutes to go, they see out the game, and it's an absolutely massive win that for them. Matt Millen with the goal. He's played in every game for the Grecians this year. Niskanen, 4 assists, he's been vital. But they are so efficient against sides that you'd expect them to go and do well against. And it is vital for them. They've beaten Peterborough, beaten Port Vale, beaten Mansfield. They've beaten, Rotherham. They are big wins, for them. They found a way to be against a number of football clubs to get the job done. So, yes, it was a big win for them. And I genuinely think that their heart, their endeavour, everyone will think X will go down. Right? They're playing with a lot of art on the sleeves. Wimbledon are struggling at this moment in time. Probably a good time to play them. 19 of their 29 goals, we mentioned this previously, in the second half, they've conceded in those, they've only conceded 10 in the first half. So it gives me that, a bit like Stevenage, they come for a scrap, they come to stay in the game, not give anything away, and they open up a bit in the second half, and then obviously they start to concede more. They do score more in the second half. They are decent against the sides below them. Barb, obviously, yesterday. They have lost to Peterborough and Exeter recently, and Burton lost to Wigan. Against above them, they're not quite got the limitations, but they've conceded 9 goals in the final 10 minutes of games. Now, that gives me the type of last season that doesn't happen in League Two. They were very much last year where they'd win 1-0 or 2-1 and win by the odd goal. They now saw us, and I said at the start of the year, do you remember, Jake? First show, what did I say about Wimbledon? Do you remember?
They'd only lose games by the odd goal. I think you said.
I said they will lose minimum of 12 games this year by 1 goal. And I genuinely, so far, we've had Cardiff, Bradford, Luton, we've had Wigan 2-1, we've had Burton 1-0, we've had Exeter, and we've had Peterborough. Now they've lost 7 games by 1 goal, and they got hammered away at Bolton and Peterborough. So they lost 9 games, 7 of them by 1 goal.
It beat Cardiff 5-1.
Say again.
I beat Cardiff 5-1. That was pretty good.
Yeah, the cup. But we don't cover. Remember when Lincoln went out of the cups, we don't cover the cup.
Oh, sorry, it's a tin pot competition. Apologies.
Yeah. No, it was when Fleetwood were losing, and I gave you the example. Oh, that's not the league. Fleetwood are in games.
Fleetwood are in games. They had 33 shots that game
against Stevenage. They did, yeah, and Farley got lucky. It's a great win for them. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, like you say, Ben, they're a little bit fortunate, aren't they? Exeter, whenever they need it, they like you say, it's like Exeter are always, that one person that you work in an office or you work where you work, and one person, time after time, he goes, this morning I just, I put my jacket on and I just went to fiddle in my pocket to find where my phone was or where my keys were, and I found a £20 note all the time. Didn't even know I had it. Yeah. That is Exeter City in a person, right? They get, And it's a skill. I'm not knocking it. I'm saying it as an EFL fan who is purely jealous because they've had Man United, they've had Liverpool, they've had Man, and now they've got Man City.
Barnsley the same.
Yeah, but they get to go. They've been to Old Trafford last year. Now they get to go to Anfield. Fair enough. Good. Yeah, show up in the league.
Tom got bloody Arsenal at home again.
Yeah. Well, you can get Arsenal when you beat Port Vale, mate. So relax, chill out. Although Arsenal way isn't for everybody, admittedly, it's not very fun. Trust me, I've been there, done that.
When were you
there? 2017, mate. It was good day out. We took 9,000.
Mate?
It was in the FA Cup, mate. But it was important back then. Trust me, it's lost its value now. Anyway, I'm trying to big up Exeter here. Anyway, yeah, look, I admit I was one of those people that had Exeter to go down this year. I had them bottom of the league, and I think I was well within my rights to do so. But yesterday I thought they were good. I thought they probably should have scored before they did. To be honest, they had quite a number of opportunities in that first half. They came out the gates really quickly. And they have got some good players, this Exeter team. Jack Aitchison, Niskanen, you mentioned, is quite handy. Higgins, I was really impressed with him in the Devon Derby win a couple of weeks ago. Macmillan, I've liked. Fitzwater is a really good centre half who I think is massively underrated amongst
They've
League
got
One
characters, haven't they?
They have, and Jaden Wareham as well. To be fair to him, as big of a melt his dad is on TikTok, like. He's good at football. Jaden Wareham is a good centre forward.
He's a good player for them, hasn't he?
He's been he has, and I think he feels love. Whereas at Reading, he perhaps didn't, because he's one of their own academy graduates. Maybe he found it a little bit more tough to find that sort of love. But yeah, yesterday I thought they took, they had opportunities, they didn't take them, and they probably thought 10 minutes to go, oh, we're not going to get anything out of this. But they find a moment. Macmillan finds a moment through Niskanen, and it is a big win because, like you say, they drag Wimbledon closer to them. Exeter now just 6 points behind Wimbledon. If you said that, I think maybe 9 weeks ago when Wimbledon were up in the top 5 and were doing really well, to say they'd be only 6 points in front of Exeter after Exeter had beaten them, I think people would have laughed at you. So, yeah, really good. Really good, really happy for Exeter. Really envious, but that's a big win for them at home. In a week where, like you say, Blackpool are winning, Plymouth have won, Peterborough have won. It's good that they're able just to bunch it up a little bit, aren't they? Because obviously Donny lost, Burton didn't play, Reading lost, Mansfield, who we'll come on to, lost, Northampton didn't win. So that's a really 3 point, and it keeps them in and amongst it, doesn't it? And for Exeter with their budget, that is really good.
Big win for Bolton Wanderers on the road yesterday. Jordi Osuatutu's 40-minute strike and his first goal of the season was enough for 3 points for Bolton away. We mentioned Bolton's away form this season not being good enough, only winning 1 of their previous 8. That makes 2 wins now, 13th in the form table away. At home, they've been excellent, winning 6 out of 9. The most shots on target on 91. And again, they don't face a lot of chances. They dominate the ball. They had 1 short of 700 passes yesterday. That's the second most amount of passing a game. Do you want to guess the most passing a game so far this year? I'll give you a clue. It was early in the season where a player got sent off for their club. They were winning at the time, and the team had the most passes, but they were losing. So the player gets sent off for the team that were winning, and then the team had the most passes who had the extra man. They had like 85% of the ball.
In League One?
League One.
See, my instant mind, when you say about possession, takes me to Cardiff.
No, it wasn't Cardiff. It was Huddersfield away at Blackpool. They had 3 more passes. There you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think Bolton were vintage last night. I've spoken to...
No, we're Bolton vintage yesterday, but no. One thing I will say about Bolton, against sides in the top 12, they've been excellent this year. They only have to Stockport on the opening day. They've too many draws, especially a 1-1 draw. But now against sides below them, obviously, they've had a bit of a bump in the road against Bolton and Northampton.
Bolton against Bolton?
Bolton have had bums in the row, against Stockport, Northampton and Burton, where they've been poor. Against Stockport, they could have found a way out or something. But since then, they've lost 2 in 17. If Bolton, they can have one bad day every 7 or 8. As long as say for example, they have one bad day every 8, you're going to have 6 bad games across the season. That's how I see it. I see if you can get 50 points across your 23 home matches, which is 16 wins and 2 draws, you're going to have 5 bad days at home. There you are. You would take that 50 points at home at the start of the year. That is, then you're thinking, to be half decent away. Bolton are starting to move now in the right direction. Now, if in those 8 games, they lose 1, out of the other 7, if they win 5 of which, or 6, they get 18 points and they draw 19 points from a possible 24. That's an immense return. Or even if they just get 16, averaging 2 points a game. As long as you keep going to that and you lose a game, they bounce back. I always feel with Bolton, once they've had a bit of a tough run, they found a way out of it this year. They seem to be of a different mentality. Now, I spoke to a Bolton fan in the gym yesterday before the game, and my first thought was, I don't know if you thought this, over the years, the last 2 or 3 years, before it, forget the sending off, that is a similar type of game. We're sat here tonight and we're going, Mansfield 3, Bolton 1, Bolton poor again, didn't want it, didn't turn up for the fight. They wanted to play glamorous football, it didn't work. They lost 2-1. They played football for half an hour, they ran out of the huff, and Mansfield just ran all over them. An electric night under the lights, the underdog wins, horrible weather. That's why I saw it. Bolton yesterday, with the extra man, should have won. They did win. But they're starting to show signs. Oscar Toot is scoring. Still want to see a little bit more from him. Being a bit more flary, asking, to take players on. Kyle Dempsey's impressing me. I don't think that he's a finished product he's ever have done. He's the best I've seen him, I would say, since he was at Gillingham and then at Fleetwood in 16-17, that in League One, where he's having shots from outside the box. He's having a go. He looks confident. Kyle Dempsey's a big confidence player. This is a new team for Bolton Wanderers. It's an absolute massive new team. And they are starting now to get the rub of the green. And the winning games of football, they aren't vintage yet. They weren't great yesterday. But ask yourself, was any team vintage yesterday? Lincoln were probably the best of a bad bunch yesterday. Lincoln were good, but the rest I thought was quite poor because of the weather. The wind was strong. It was horrible. It was cold. It's about getting it done. You don't need to play well in December or January, February. Come and play football in August, September, start of October, and then come out again in May. It's fine to do so, right? It's what Cambridge used to always do. Yeah. But you just scrap this time of year, and that's where Bolton have lacked. They've always been pretty. I actually now think they've got a few warriors in the team. A good win away at Mansfield. Riso's getting sending off for
I need to shake his hand. I need to shake his hand, Riso's. I do. I need to shake his hand.
My first thought was he's had his power jokes this morning.
I need to shake his hand for trying to do what he tried to do. I have massive respect for it. I thought it was a great tack. I don't understand why he sent him off. I think the lad makes an absolute meal of it, but then again, he's got history. Yeah, no, I thought Bolton, like I said, I don't think they were vintage. I spoke. Funnily enough, I've spoken to a Mansfield fan about this, Joel. A guy I know watches the League One live, so I think he watches them back. And I spoke to our good friend, Mr. Colin Yates of the Fan Zone podcast. He was all right. He was sending me voice notes while I was at work, which was lovely to hear. His lovely Southport.
He's a great lad, isn't he?
I love Colin Yates. I have so much love and affection and time for him. He's a great bloke. Very good sense of style as well. I thought, he said to me they were pretty average. But he, like you said there, Ben, they needed a reaction, right? Because Saturday was not good enough. Getting beat by Swindon, I think they can maybe justify going out of the FA Cup. But getting beat in the manner in which they did and the performance they put in on Saturday, they owed it to the fans to play better. And they did. They weren't, like I said, they weren't scintillating. They were okay. But I think Bolton okay is better than 85% of the teams on a good day in this league. You look at the team that played yesterday for Bolton. Like the depth is unbelievable. Rahan and Simmons in midfield. You can just bring on Josh Sheehan, Welsh international, and leave players like Who did they leave on the bench? Gale came on, Randall came on.
He did well when he came on. He should do, though, because it was Gale Force wins.
Yeah, well, correct, yeah. Although they don't have many Gale Force wins where he's from in Barbados. But yeah, no.
In Bolton, where his new home is.
Well, absolutely. It does get cold in Bolton. Sorry, Horwich. Anyway, it's Morley not even in the squad, as David says there. So, yeah, I think it's effective. This is a different side to Bolton Wanderers now, and a game against Exeter at the weekend where you'd imagine they're heavy favourites to really make a statement, can't they, at the weekend playing against Exeter? Although from recollection, Ben, Exeter have got a pretty good record at Bolton from memory. I seem to think they went up there a couple of years ago and won 2-0. I think they've also lost 6-0 there as well. So it's a bit mix and match, but they need to go and make a statement. Go and knock Exeter for 4-5 and make the rest of the league scared. But yeah, a decent win for Bolton.
Yeah, big win for the Trotters away from home. I'll let you start off for the next one. Northampton won. Huddersfield won.
Oh, my boys.
Northampton. Again, Northampton, they weren't great yesterday. They scrapped the way to another point. Deserved point, I would say, as well.
Correct.
And again, they just seem to find a way, Northampton, don't they? And I mentioned, by the way, I mentioned against the sides below them. Beat Mansfield, beat Doncaster, beat Exeter, beat Plymouth, beat Blackpool, draw to Port Vale. They've only lost to Reading from themselves downwards. So that's exactly what I mean. Get sides above them, there's limitations. You've only beaten Leyton Orient and Bolton. But if you can beat those, Northampton want to finish 15, for example. If you want to finish those 9 below you, get wins off them and just get points off sides above you, Northampton can hit 60 points again like they did 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, I think they can. I thought they were good yesterday. I thought they were good value for certainly at least a point, like you mentioned. Like that goal from Nesta Guinness-Walker is all about the technique, isn't it? Like that is such a lovely goal from him. And we know he's got it in him from his days at Reading. Stevenage, he was decent for them a couple of years ago. He's a very technically gifted footballer, probably one of the better left-backs that we've got in the league. Really liked him. And I just like this whole ethos that this Northampton team are built around. Like they work hard for one another. Terry Taylor and Campbell in midfield just cover so much ground. And Tyrese Forner as well. I think Ethan Wheatley playing off Tommy Eves, it allows him, there's not as much pressure for him to be the man that scores all the goals, but I think he's really handy because he can finish really well. But it allows him to get out wide and he's quick and he can drag centre halves away and Tommy Eves can then exploit that space. And they're good at set pieces. You know, you've got Jordan Thornley, who probably without his injuries, Ben, wouldn't be playing in League One because he's a top centre half. Really good.
Top end League One bare minimum.
Yeah.
Good at Oxford and Blackpool.
Very good at Oxford. Very good at Oxford. They've got
he was thorn in the side of Blackpool as well.
They've got a thorn in the side. They've got Forbes in there, who's a very big physical young lad from West Ham that Nolan knows well. And McCarthy, who maybe didn't cut it at a team like Barnsley, but for Northampton, the expectations are so different. Do you remember when we had this conversation about when the January where we both signed strikers from Portsmouth? You signed Ellis Harrison, we signed John Marquis, who were both discarded by Portsmouth. And in Conor McCarthy's case, discarded by Barnsley, where the expectations are up there. But you go to a Fleetwood and a Lincoln, who are, but in mid-table, lower end of mid-table, completely different outlook by the supporters, and they completely love him. And Conor McCarthy gets that sort of vibe at Northampton. So, yeah, I thought they were good. I do want to talk about Huddersfield, Ben, a little bit, because I do worry at the moment, it feels like they are getting carried by Leo Castledine, because it feels like if Leo Castledine doesn't have a good game, Huddersfield don't have a good game. And massive credit to him, because he probably came in and all the money they spent in the summer and over the last couple of windows, where they're bringing in like Marcus Harness and they're bringing in Charles and Taylor and Alfie May, and they've signed Sean Rowan and Joe Lowe. The list goes on, right? The players that they've signed. And Leo Castledine probably, I've said this a couple of times this year, probably snuck under the radar because he was on loan at Shrewsbury last year. They got relegated. He's been their best player. Like, he has been Huddersfield's best player. He is outstanding technically.
6 goals, most in his team as well.
He's an absolute joke. Like, he's so good. Like, you can see he's got that. He's come through at Cobham where, you know, they teach players all about technique. So I think that's a real concern, because when Castleline doesn't play well, and teams are going to try and mark him out of the game because he's so good now, right? Grant and Hurahan have both been nominated. It's silly. I think once you can shut him down, I think you shut Huddersfield down. I really do. I will give credit as well to Sean Rowan, because he had a better game on last night. He looked better than what he has done in a Huddersfield Town shirt recently. But yeah, that's. I think Cobbers were warranting of a point.
I know they didn't play a side. No, this is no disrespect to Northampton yesterday, that are going to expect promotion. Huddersfield's record against the top half side is absolutely embarrassing. Now, the top two, they've lost both games away from home, and that's fine. Cardiff and Bradford away. The performances at Bradford was pathetic. It could have been 6-1. They lost at home to Stockport and Bolton in succession. The Bolton game was... It happens in every 100 games or so that something like that will happen. Maybe not in the circumstances that it happens. That's probably 1 in 500. Bolton scored 2 goals in a minute at the death. They've lost away at Luton in a game that they had in the Parliament to get a point. They've lost away at Barnsley in a game they were pathetic. Wimbledon 3-3. They never looked like winning that game. They never had it in their control of winning that. They had a lot of the ball, a lot of shots, but they never really felt like they're going to go and win 2-3-0. They lost away at Wycombe 3-0. Now, and lost away at Blackpool 3-2. Now, they've been very efficient against the poorer sides, if you will. They've beaten Plymouth, beaten Peterborough, beaten Doncaster, Exeter away. That was their only shot on target at Exeter. I keep mentioning that. Leighton Orient 3-0 was a good win. They obviously drew to Northampton, found a way at Mansfield. So they've been quite lucky that they've beaten enough. I don't want to say poor sides, but sides that you'd expect to be in the bottom 10 or the bottom 12, looking at it. They've not beaten a good side. And even if Huddersfield got into the top 6, you've got to play a good side. And you might turn it on for 1 game or 2 games or possibly 3 games. But they don't look like it. They don't look a good side. They are a team full of individuals, not a team. Now, I look at Northampton yesterday and I think hearts, minds, they'll work hard for each other. They pass. Stevenage make it to scrap. Every team has an identity. I don't feel Huddersfield do. They've signed all the good players and they're trying to shoehorn them into a team. It reminds me very much, sir. I can't remember the game he did it. Gareth Southgate got criticised for England for not playing the attacking players. Lee Carsley, I think he did a formation where he played like 6 attacking players.
Was it Greece at home?
Yeah, they lost like 2 or 3-1, right?
Yeah,
or maybe 3-0. And
Greece.
They were awful, right? They had no... You've got to have a structure and you've got to have a pattern of fluidity. And there's not enough... There's a lot of... What I'd say, there's a lot of diamonds in there. There's not a lot of bronze in there and Adonis is in there that is going to get you through games. And I look at people I look at Lincoln, they've got a Warriors, they fight for each other. They suit this time. I don't feel Huddersfield do that. And it's harsh on Lee Grant, but that's the way they've recruited. They've just tried to go down a different platform. And they've got some big games coming up. Wigan, Rotherham. I just feel like they'll always do enough. They'll win, but at what? They don't do enough. Every 5 games, they'll get like 8 points. And it'll be like, you feel he's going to get questions and then he'll win from somewhere. I just don't see this long term. I don't. And you need to go and look at the squad yesterday for Huddersfield. That there's a lot of talent in there. It proceeds to expectation. And it's a tough job, don't get me wrong. But Rudolovic up front, expectation. Charles, Castledine, Harness, Kasumu is a right. Kasumu 12 months ago, when we watched him together, I think of the week of this weekend we went. I don't know about you, Jake. I kept saying to you at the time, I didn't see him in the flesh. I was like, he was the best player on that pitch.
Yeah.
By a country mile, that run they had, Kasumu ran the show, didn't he? He was so good. Energy, Campbell, Feeney, Lowe, Wallace at the back, Rowan, Sorensen. They're just a team, and I feel like a lot of the players are playing within themselves because of the football club they're at. I feel that if Sorensen and Sean Rowan were back at Lincoln, that you're probably talking about them being in your team of the season so far, and Lincoln being in the top 2, top 3. That's the difference. That
they won't get in there. Neither of them.
Yeah. Well, if you signed Lars Sorensen in January, all of a sudden it'd be like, welcome home, Lars. I love you, mate. Yeah, and you know it.
I do love him,
but you know what I'm saying? That if they were a club that didn't expect as much, they'd be up. I just think that, I don't know. I don't feel Huddersfield is a right place to be right now. I feel they're very off. And I do worry. We'll come to the last game, and I'll let you finish us off. Leighton Orient won, Luton won. I guess, well, I can't quite say it, but Leighton Orient didn't have the chance. I guess scoring 2 goals against Luton at Parmex isn't for everyone.
Well, like I said to you, Ben, scoring 3 against Luton at home is not for everybody. Do you know what I am really pleased for one man in particular. And I spoke about my affection for Jack Diamond. I am so pleased with Theo Archibald. Like, I am so happy for him because that man's been through the ringer. Like, he is, bless him, he's had ACL injury after ACL injury, and he keeps on getting. He's out for, he comes back, he plays well, and then he's out again, and it's a real nightmare for him. And I'm really pleased for him because he did play for us. I was a big fan of him when he played for us, but I think Leighton Orient, he's found a home, and for him to score, I mean, to be fair with him, Don Ballard could have very easily just took the ball away, but he's given it to Theo, and it's a really nice moment, I think, of him to score in front of that end. I'm really pleased with Theo. He's a top pro and a really good footballer. But yeah, I mean, Leighton Orient will be kicking themselves. Like, they will be absolutely kicking themselves with this because to be 1-0 up and have chances in the game like Leighton Orient did to extend the lead, and they just didn't take them. To be pegged back right at the death through a Gideon Kadua header, who, in fairness, as much as we give Orient credit and they maybe could have been outside, I think we've got to give a lot of credit to Gideon Kadua as well because he is the epitome of a Matt Bloomfield signing, right? Bloomfield signed him twice for Wycombe, and then signed him again for Luton. Matt Bloomfield's gone. And all of a sudden, I think Kadua came on, didn't he, and scored an equaliser in a home game recently. I can't remember. They drew 1-1 at home. I think he scored the equaliser. And he's also scored again yesterday, right at the end. I mean, the defending from Leighton Orient is questionable. But, I think Orient will be disappointed in the manner of the goal and also the fact they had opportunities. And by the sounds of it, no El Mazzuni for a couple of months, no Connolly for a couple of months. They're 2 massive losses. They're 2 big players for Leighton Orient. They are going to have to, if we're talking about Leighton Orient wanting to get back where they were last year, they're going to have to invest some money in January to try and bring in some temporary replacements because those 2 not being fit for a long time, you'd imagine is going to see them lose ground to the top 6. So, I think Orient will be really disappointed from last night.
Luton again, they're just mixed bag, aren't they? They're not great against the top echelons, of the table. They're not bad around sides of in and around them. I think Luton suggests where they are. They're not quite good enough for a top 6 spot at this moment in time. That I won't put the table. We'll have a look at the table on Saturday because that'll be 20 games in for some football clubs. But you look at the difference now. They're 3 points behind Stevenage. Stevenage have played 2 games less. They are realistically 5 points away. That's how stagnating this league is. There's a big gulf in differences. Well, thank you very much, Jake. Do we have predictions to do?
We do have predictions to do. We have the weekend's predictions.
We do. So we will also be going through predictions on Sunday as a whole of this week. So that's what we agreed, didn't we, Jake?
Someone didn't do his homework, admittedly.
Yeah, don't worry, mate.
I went and did
that's 50p off your playoff ticket, young man.
That's fine. I can contribute 50p. I can't a 50p.
What? I can't do 3 payments. Can you accept 5 payments of 10p
Five
a month?
payments to 10p. I'll just drop one off. I'll send it in post.
Yeah.
Right, Ben. What we'll do is obviously because
Keep the comments coming as well, guys.
what we'll do is we'll do Saturday. So we'll start with you, Ben. We've got 2 early kickoffs this weekend. AFC Wimbledon are hosting Mansfield at the Cherry Records Stadium. What are you going to go for?
AFC Wimbledon 1, Mansfield 1.
Yeah. AFC Wimbledon 1, Stags 2. I think Stags go there and get a win. Huddersfield versus Wigan. I think this is going to be tough. But there's a lot of pressure on Grant at the minute, and I think he relieves the pressure a little bit. Huddersfield 1, Wigan 0.
There's a lot of pressure on Ryan Lowe at the minute. You know, he's saying a lot to the fans, avoiding press conferences. Not a great look. I'm going to go for Huddersfield 2, Wigan 0.
And there's been a goal at the New York, but for who? Celebrating, Ben. It's for Blackpool. Well done. Yeah, 3-0. They're up.
Tell you what, the inevitable happened. He's going to keep him up, baby.
I really do not. I did not want this. Ben, coming to you for Barnsley versus Leyton Orient.
Barnsley 2, Leyton Orient 1.
Yep.
Do you want that?
You little swine. Okay. Barnsley 3, Orient 2. Goal. I like a 3-2. Blackpool versus Lincoln. The fact that they've now won 3-0 and the fact we don't have.
But they've got to play the game like day later. You know, they'll be resting tomorrow where you'll be back in training.
Yeah. I'm going Blackpool 2, Lincoln City 1.
Blackpool 1, Lincoln 1. If Lincoln can get a point out of that, they'll be disappointed because they'll see Blackpool as the bottom 4. But I don't know about you, Jack. I look in spells. I told you our next 3 games before yesterday what I'd take. If Lincoln can get a point, is it Cardiff the game after?
Yeah.
If you can get 5 points out of those 3 games, I think you would have taken it before, wouldn't you? Before Barnsley. So you can get 6 even better, but I think you'll get a point. Blackpool 1, Lincoln 1.
Bolton versus Exeter, Ben.
Big game for Bolton. They've been good at home. Exeter, those sort of games. I don't think it'll be convincing. I don't think it'll be hammering. Yeah. I was thinking 1-0, but I think it might be a little bit more. I'm going to go for Bolton 2, Exeter 0. Their hard work was done yesterday, so that kind of gives them a plot. Anything better than 7-0?
You got to laugh at this point, right?
Every game I've told in your prediction.
Yeah.
4 out of 4.
3 out of 3.
3 out of 3.
Bolton 3, Exeter 0. Why not? Put a show on. Bradford versus Reading. I'm going to go Bradford. Bradford 1, Reading 1. I think
Bradford 2, Reading 0.
Fairs. Burton Albion versus Wycombe, Ben. Difficult, this.
Burton 1, Wycombe 2.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same lines. But I'm gonna go Brewers 1, Wycombe. Brewers 1, Wycombe 0. Why not? I've changed my mind there. I don't know why. Cardiff versus Doncaster. I'm gonna go Cardiff City. I'm just gonna go standard. Cardiff 2, Donny 0.
Cardiff 3, Doncaster 1.
Luton versus So We Play Port Vale.
Luton 2, Port Vale 0. I tell you what, it's a big weekend for Port Vale, who, you look at the table, they could potentially, bare minimum, be 8 points adrift come the week. It could be 9, but a minimum of...
Yeah, but Darren Moore's a great manager for the level, mate, so I don't know what we're moaning about.
You know something? I'm not going to say it, but I've only just thought it. You just know what's going to happen on January 10th, don't you? You just know it. I've said what I've said. Their dressing room talk is done. Thank you very much.
Stick Nappers' face on the dressing room door. Do it for him. I'm going to go, Luton 2, Vale 1, I think. Peterborough versus Northampton in the Neen/Nen derby. Do you remember the score in this fixture last year, Ben?
Oh, was it 5-0?
It was 4-0 to
Peterborough.
Northampton.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Northampton went in there and won 4-0.
Didn't Peterborough win away?
No, Cam
Northampton
McGeehan.
won 2-1, didn't they?
Cam McGeehan scored in the last 10 minutes and they won 2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like the way you remember the Northampton scores.
Yeah, I'm a big Cobblers fan, that's why. Peterborough 2, Cobblers 1. I don't
Wasn't it me first?
No, it was me first.
Peterborough 2, Northampton 0.
Plymouth versus Rotherham. Plymouth Argyle 2, Rotherham 0.
Peterborough, who is it?
Plymouth.
Plymouth versus Rotherham.
Plymouth Wardy. It's Plymouth versus Rotherham.
What do you go to? What? It was me first, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You just went first.
No, I didn't.
You did.
No, I didn't.
On Peterborough, you did.
No, Plymouth, go on.
No, 2-0.
2-1. Plymouth.
Cheating, absolute. You can take the boy out of Lincoln, but you can't take Lincoln out of the boy. You cheating. Sue. He's cheating.
I've got some sort of Australian heritage, so I'm really employing that while the Ashes is on.
I don't like cricket. I love it.
You've been watching the Ashes?
No, my dad was meant to be going, but he never ended up going because he was in Australia. So yeah.
Stockport versus Stevenage. This is me first, right? You happy for that?
Yeah, you can go first, mate.
Stockport.
You're going to say my exact prediction now.
No, because I'm not. I'm going to leave it open. Stockport County 2, Stevenage 1.
Did you know you got 2-0 Stockport?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I left it open because I'm polite for you, you see? I like to leave it open for you. 1 hour 40 on 11 games.
9.
9. Oh.
Burton didn't play. Wigan didn't play. Who else didn't play? Blackpool Rotherham didn't play. There was another one that didn't play. Bradford.
To be fair, Ben, that's only got 3 minutes left, so we could probably do a segment on that now anyway.
What's that?
Rotherham Blackpool.
Yeah. Should we do it?
No.
A great win for Blackpool away at Rotherham United. Big win for the Seaside. Danny Imray back from injury, back with a goal. Tom Bloxham and Ashley Fletcher. Tell you what, Ashley Fletcher, he's got some stick at Blackpool, hasn't he? You know, but he deserves humongous credit.
He got stick off you, no doubt.
No, he hadn't found home. He'd only started 18 league games before he came to Blackpool, and you know, in the last 4 years. So big win for them. Thank you so much for those that have stayed. You know, smaller audience tonight. Obviously, midweek doesn't always help. But if you could subscribe down below, if you haven't, it would help us out a lot. We're on the road to 18,500 subscribers. Plenty of shows over Christmas to come. We'll have a Christmas show in a couple of weeks. It's going to end up being on a Monday night. So come for our Christmas fiesta on the 22nd of December. Fiesta.
It's a type of Ford, mate, a Fiesta.
No, it's like a feast, you know, Fiesta. It's a party. Celebrations.
Sure. Sure. Are we doing presents?
Do you want to look at my bank account?
Yeah, no.
I thought let's have a look at your bank account as well, and I think that'll say.
I just renewed my car insurance today. I am now like 700 quid worse off.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'll leave you. I'll see you later. Big thank you for everyone that has watched. Appreciate you. Thanks to Jake as always. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Jake.
Come and check out the Here for the Lincoln podcast because I'll be the one that has to plug it. Please, we have an episode. We have an episode out Friday morning with a Blackpool fan. I've asked Nappers to come on. He wouldn't do it in public, so I've got someone else to step in.
Who you got on? Oh, Callum.
What, Seymour? No, Seymour's not coming on. I've got a guy called Rob. He's Tangerine Rob. He's called. He's a nice lad.
Okay.
Looking forward to speaking to him tomorrow. That should be out on Friday morning. And also,
not fancy getting a Freddie Abraham on.
Not after what he did to me after the playoffs. No.
Can I also just say after the playoffs, What was I like to you when you lost in that playoff final, Jake?
You were drunk in Blackpool Town Centre getting promoted, mate. That's what you were doing. Please come and follow my Twitter. I'm going to try and get to 1,700 followers. I'm about 68 away. So
I've just followed, so now you're 6, 7.
6, 7. I'm just giving myself the ick.
Right, let's end it. Bye all.
See you later.